Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to the Friday night chop session with Stormybman. As we get into episode number 103, and we're calling this one Heavyweights Headlining. That's right, for this Friday, March 26, 2021, the last Friday in the month of March, before we head on in to some of you April Fools. You understand? That's right, we are back. I want to say welcome to everybody out there. Smash that like button as you come on in. And we get down to the get down, where we're going to talk about some good stuff here on the Friday night chop session with you brothers and sisters out there, man. I have to let that beat play a little longer because it's nice. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. It's perfect for the chop session, you know, and it kind of gets you in that little mood of like grooving, you know. I know some of y'all like to do a lot of other stuff while you're listening to your music, but let's just keep it clean, okay? Stormy B, man, just likes to come out here and entertain a little bit. As you guys see, you know, I have a few things going on with my beats and my whole drama of entering the arena with my show. So I have to do it like that because, you know, it's all about the theme. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a theme when you're out here doing your thing. So welcome everybody. Want to go out there to the chat, see who we got out here. We got Young World out there. He says, yo, salute Big Storm. Salute to the chat. Mur is out there. I hope that I'm saying that right. Mur, is it Mur or Mir? But I'm trying. So Phil J 508 is out there. He's giving us the fist up 100. Thrill Hill says, salute Stormy B. Salute to you. Big Texas Cletus is out there. He says, salute Stormy B, man, and the chat family. My man Big Homie Coop is out there. Says, salute Seafood, and class is in session. And back smack that like button. That's right. And Derek McGee is out there saying, salute family, salute to you. And the OG Bruce Goes is out there. Says, at Stormy B, man, salute. OG Big Bro. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like we out here to do it, man. We're going to talk about some boxing this evening. And we got my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens coming in a little while, where he will join us. He's got to do the grind first, and then he's here for the good time in a little bit. So, but before we kick things off, man, I want to let you guys know Stormy B, man, is out here grinding. You know, we talk about it all the time, but I have some more good news for those of you who didn't tune in last night to catch the Three Wise Men of Boxing. I shared a little bit of news, good news. Stormy B, man, has reached over 175,000 views on the channel, and this achievement was March 25th, just yesterday, 2021. Got that certificate in the email from Video IQ, who I have monitoring my analytics for my channel. And these guys hit me up yesterday and they say, you're doing good things with your channel there, Stormy B, man. And we want you to know that here's another milestone for you in your achievement, which means that even though they may not be subbed to Stormy B, man, all that peeping through the blinds and the bushes that I've been telling you guys about, you see what I'm saying? That's exactly what they doing. But it's still counting. It's counting toward my views. That means that they like what Stormy B, man, is saying. They might be looking at me on my broadcast like Snoop Dogg was peeping that baby boy in that movie when he was sitting in that car looking at him from across the street. Remember that look he had on his face? That's the look they got on their face. But it still amounts to 175,000 and counting. That's what we doing over here on the Stormybman channel, man. So for all those that's out there peeping through the blinds and everything, you might as well come on out into the light, into the open, where we could see you and we could count your heads. You understand? Because we're going to keep on doing it, and we know you're going to keep on watching. So you might as well come on in and become a part of the family. Huh? The prodigal sons and daughters, bring your butts on home and get some of these lessons that Stormybman got for you. That's right. That's right. But yeah, we got some more people coming here. We got, who's that? DT out there. He says, salute Stormybman in the chat. You know, look at them. They out there right now. We don't have as many in the chat that we have that it says watching, but they out there hesitating to press the like button, hesitating to write in the chat, huh? Bashful, huh? And mannish, because at the same time, they could just come on in here and enjoy the ambiance and the camaraderie that we share here on the channel, because, you know, Stormy ain't, you know, trying to be mean and nasty to nobody. I ain't trying to kick nobody up out of here or nothing like that. I welcome you until you do something wrong. Then I take them steel-toe Timbs and put them deep up in your rear ends. You understand? Because that's how you're supposed to be dealt with. Don't come over here with no foolishness, because Stormy got something for you. And if you think that I'm lying, let's see what's up. That's right. But I'm going to tell you, number 103, man. 103 and counting. It would be higher than that, but you know, Stormy sometimes takes a week off or a Friday off or a few days off or a week of shows because I have to recharge my batteries, man. You know what I mean? And when I recharge my batteries, I come back renewed and replenished and ready to drop a lot more on you. So, and I'm always thinking about new material. If you notice, I don't always talk about things the way everyone else does. I kind of have my own angle and spin, and I also have my own focus. But that's not to dissuade from anything anyone else is doing. It's just that Stormy really believes in being in his own lane. Huh? I have my own mind, my own approach. And, you know, there are those who like it and those who don't, you know. But I'll tell you something. I noticed something else out here. You got other people. They trying to, you know, sniff around the Stormybman channel and see what's up. But you know what? It ain't no secrets. Ain't no secrets at all. You just got to be real in what you do, man. You got to be real in what you do, be confident in what you do, and know what the hell you're talking about, too. That kind of helps. It goes a long way when you know what you're talking about. When you got a source of information, and then you can just go ahead and divulge it and then share and interact and go deeper and deeper and deeper until it comes out of your ears, out of your eyes, out of your nose, out of your mouth, out of your rear end, huh? Because you're full of that source. That's right. Rashid Rourke is out there. He says, peace, my brother, the Wiseman, Stormybman. Peace to everyone. Peace to you, brother. And Thrill Hill says, at Bruce Gold, salute family. So we out here, man. And the reason that we were calling this one Heavyweights Headlining is because in the ensuing weeks and couple of months ahead, we have a few heavyweight fights potentially scheduled. Some are scheduled and others still are being talked about and discussed. And as so go the heavyweights, so goes the business of boxing. And right now we're seeing a tremendous amount of behind the scenes stuff going on. There's gossip. There's speaking of negotiations. There's talk of matchups, and also there are others yet and still on the senior circuit that are trying to come to terms with the possibility of a match popping off. And that would be like Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield for a third go round in an albeit exhibition. But I'm gonna tell you guys a little secret. I'll believe that when I see it, cause I don't know. Evander kind of made Mike Tyson lose his sanity the last time they squared off in the ring. But we'll talk about it, huh? We'll talk about all of that. But yeah, that's why we're calling this one Heavyweights Headlining, because when the heavyweights are doing their thing, the rest of boxing kind of takes a back seat to let the big men go ahead and shine. We got Renee Box Young out there. He says, Stormy OG, what's good with you? Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. My brother's out there doing double duty, saying salute my peoples. And then who else we got out there? Bernard Burton has joined us and says, salute at Stormybman in chat. Salute to you, brother. Good to see you back. And my man Taylor Bell out there in that super chat. He says, I'm driving home at the moment. Hope to join in the chat soon. Thank you for that super chat, Taylor Bell. And we'll look forward to seeing you. Taylor Bell is like another one of those wheels that helped the Stormybman channel roll. And, you know, he shows love, as I wish some of you others would show some love to Stormy. I don't know why, but everybody come around the Stormybman channel with their pockets with zippers on them, huh? Ain't nobody gonna shake you down, man. Ain't nobody gonna shake you down. But you could feel free to leave a little love for Stormybman, because you see what I do with it, huh? I invested right here in the channel, trying to bring you the best that I can. And in the meantime, while we're talking about that, let me remind you that in the description box is a couple of links down there where you can see the Stormybman's Cash App, and also for the merchandise, the Stormybman merchandise. Don't forget about that. You can stop by the Streamlabs store, get you some merchandise for the Stormybman channel. We got hats, we got hoodies, we got windbreaker jackets, we got book bags, coffee mugs, you name it, as they say. We got it, and it's all there for you. Show some love for the channel, and, you know, reach on out there and get you some memorabilia and some gears for Stormybman's merchandise, okay? And then don't forget that your man Stormybman is an official ambassador to the Black Gentleman's Grooming Company, huh? With my man partnered up with that Junior the Truth with what they're doing over there for the Black Gentleman, man. And if you enter the code Stormybman, you get 10% off for your next purchase. And you can get a bundle of items, or you can get them singularity, but it's a shareable link down there in the description box, and feel free to get you some of that there. I tell you, man, that's how it is, and that's what we're doing over here. We're always trying to improve things around here, and even Stormybman partners up with some of the other brothers from the community, just showing that love and letting you all know that that's how we make it together, by supporting one another. That's the best thing you can do. My man Taylor Bell back in that super chat saying, let's go, guys. I'll lead the charge. Support the best boxing commentary on YouTube. I may not be that just yet, but I'm working my way to it, man, in my own way and in my own time. But I appreciate that love that my man Taylor Bell is showing out there. And, you know, you gotta understand that Stormy does his best for you guys. If nothing else, that's what we try to do, man. We really do. So, again, but yeah, everything is down there in the description box. And we can get on down to this evening's show. I was about to say afternoon, but I don't know why. It's Friday, man. It's been a long week. Stormy has felt the wrath of work in the workplace this week, and I'm glad to be at home, and I'm actually glad to be here with you guys, man, so we could talk it up. But as we get cooking on this, I wanted to kind of open things up with man, isn't it funny that as everything seems to be happening, this brother Bud Crawford, Terrence Bud Crawford, he can't stay out of the airwaves now and out of in front of the microphones. You remember when you guys was talking about Bud need to talk, Bud need to say something. He was quiet as a church mouse, right? But now y'all done stirred the man up. He won't shut up now. And you ain't gonna never get him to shut up now because you done drew that out of the guy. The guy was a nice, quiet dude. Just go out there in workmanlike fashion and fight his fights and go back home to Omaha. But no, you guys had to keep on sticking the snake with the stick, huh? Keep on. But what you didn't realize, that them snakes be biting, huh? And they bite back and they bite you in your behind. And that's what happened now. The guy done took a bite and he out there and he ready to bite everything in sight. And you tired of hearing his sound bites, huh? But it's too late. You done stirred it up. I knew it was going to happen. I was just waiting. You know what I'm saying? I knew. Salute to my man Bernard Burton out there in that super chat. He says, salute Stormy and family. Salute to you, Bernard Burton, and thank you so much for your super chat donation, man. Yeah, so earlier this week, man, you know, Bud Crawford had an interview. And in his interview, he got to talking about a lot of things. He was asked about the possibility of he getting it on with Earl Spence. And it's funny because being asked about Earl, you know, he basically said, you know, that ship has sailed for him. And he's not really interested in a Earl Spence fight. I don't know that I 100% believe that, but I do partially believe it because, again, I got to throw it back in the laps of you guys, huh? You, the fight fans, with your social media stuff and, you know, the way you talk about things out there. See, this was a fight on the horizon that could have been built as a super fight, but it's too much of this whole, you know, us against them thing instead of it being a support of what the sport has to offer. If you could get behind what the sport has to offer with the same type of fervor that you show for one individual over another, maybe it would be a little bit easier to make the matches. But I'll tell you something. No one between the two of these fighters and their camps is above the other. Now, I know there's a lot of sentiments that go a different way, but Stormy is taking a step back to look at this in a different manner, okay? I'm looking at it from the standpoint of the quality of what the sport has to offer. Between these two men, regardless of who you like, you have to say that a bigger purse can't be made anywhere else, huh? And the numbers that they could do won't beat or be done anywhere else between the two of them. They are the best of what the sport has to offer at that weight class, and they are the most prominent fighters that the sport have to offer at that weight class presently. It won't be that for much longer because you have some young lions who are on their way, and those men who are coming up may be able to unseat the both of these guys. Some of them talent-wise, some of them audience-wise, and some of them just based on that hunger and desire to want to be where they are and maybe to go beyond and achieve much more than what they have. See, that's what you have to look at when it comes down to the sport of boxing. I talk about it all the time. I said eras come and go. The era of a fighter. And each time these guys step in the ring, you have no idea when it might be their last time. And see, what happens is there's always someone in a gym somewhere beating on a bag, waiting to replace who's up there at the top right now. And the peak of the mountain, the peak tip is so narrow that it's easy to just be pushed aside once you reach it, because at that pinnacle, people lose their desire, they lose their motivation. Sometimes they just lose their mind because their head has been so lofty in the clouds that it kind of cuts the oxygen off to the brain and they just kind of lose it mentally. Okay? And that's what happens. Believe it or not, you're kind of seeing it right now with certain individuals in the sport getting in trouble with the law and everything like that. I'm telling you, it happens. You never know what is just around the bend. So it's like you have to optimize what your opportunities are. Now, the fact that Bud said in his interview that that fight is no longer of any interest to him, for those of you out there who want to be very critical of the man, understand this. He has done nothing but make positive progression in his career and achievements, whether you want to acknowledge them or not. And he has brought the legacy of having won titles, unified, and gone undisputed at weight classes before he arrived at 147. And then at 147, everything dried up and got shallow because there are men that don't want to fight him. And they don't want to fight him for certain reasons. I'm not saying anyone is afraid of anyone. But what I'm saying is it's not a good business move when you're enjoying your own success and there's a lion over there that could take it all away from you or make you look very bad, okay, where you might be diminished as far as the demand for you. But hey, such is the case of life. You just heard me say that champions can reach a pinnacle, but it's very easy to be knocked off of that perch and someone just replace you for a variety of reasons. There's no reason why that if you want to claim and profess that you're the best, that you don't just face the other best. And that will be a determination of who is really what. But see, that's not what's happening in the sport. And some of you fans are the reason why. A tremendous reason. We got my man LeVar Cooper is out there, joined us. He says, salute Sensei, salute to you. Nick Hammer says, big up Stormybman in the chat. Salute to you, Nick Hammer. How you doing, bro? And everybody else is saluting one another. My man Watcher is out there. Rashid Rourke, Watcher is saluting. And Nick Hammer is out there and he's saluting. Good to see all of you on this Good Friday, man. I'm glad you guys have decided to join the chop session. Get out here with Stormybman and the rest of the family. Talk this good boxing talk, man. So, but yeah, for these two men who even now are starting to say on both sides, they're saying like, I don't need this guy, you know. Yeah, you do. You need opponents, and you need good opponents. If you start fighting a bunch of people that nobody really wants you to see or whatever, how quickly these fans, whether they love you or not, will turn on your behind. They will turn on you, and it won't take much. You see, because for as many of them that don't really want you to face what might be your biggest threat or whatever, under the surface, they really do. But the consensus nowadays is when someone takes a loss or something that, oh, it's over for the guy or whatever, because Floyd Mayweather gave the impression that nothing meant more than just being undefeated. But where he fooled you all was he worked every bit as hard to remain undefeated, much harder than his colleagues, and he was able to achieve this in the ring by being heads up, studying his opponents, working that much harder than they, and having the talent to be able to go out and execute night in and night out and remain focused through the whole ordeal. See, some guys, when they get that money, they start thinking about other things, and they start finding excuses and reasons why not to train as hard or to fight the most threatening of challenges and things of that nature. That wasn't Floyd's way. Floyd relished challenges, but when he went in there against these challengers, he made certain that he brought his A game every time. Thus, when he talked about being the A side, you understand, it wasn't just about being an undefeated fighter, okay? It was about being the best at what he does. You understand? How many of these guys out here can profess to being the best at what they do when they haven't fought others who you can go in there and distinctly say, I'm not sure if he could win this one, and have him pull it out? These guys, Crawford and Spence, need one another in that sense, because everyone else you match them up with, they're favored to defeat, even if it's in a slight favor, okay? But between the two of them, you just don't know, right? It's like, so why not want that? Why not demand that? Why not see that as the standard bearer for the weight class? Huh? Because you hang around long enough, sooner or later, these guys, one of them slip on a banana peel, and someone you never thought come and take it away from them does exactly that. It happens. Been around to see enough boxing in my lifetime and prior to my lifetime that it happens. You know what I mean? The best laid plans can go by the wayside. My man Picasso is out there and says, Bud is not that articulate at delivering media's attention and saying things as if he knows our reactions will follow his lead. He obviously got a battery in his back. His puppeteer is fed up. Well, Picasso, that sounds like a comment made by someone who is either frustrated that you're not seeing what you would like to see, or not being able to understand why what you want to see is not transpiring, and knowing what you can do, what in your part, your behalf. It's easy to sit up and talk about somebody. It's easy to try to put someone down and try to big up someone else. But at the same time, you're talking about two elements that together can make beautiful music, okay? But these guys, you guys don't want to hear the song. I'm going to tell you, you've seen people like Ali Frazier. The Three Wise Men of Boxing just did an anniversary, the 50th anniversary show of theirs earlier this month. If Ali and Frazier never fought one another, history would have remained with saying, I wonder what would have happened had those two undefeated champions fought each other back in 1971 when they could have. Huh? It's like that's what you would be talking about. That's what you're, in remembrance of them. Even with all the other guys that they may have fought, you'd be sitting here thinking about, man, what if those two guys really did it? You see, but it doesn't have to be that way, because we're still in a situation where this fight could take place. But the more that you guys choose sides, the more that you guys start talking about one and putting down the other and things of that nature, the less likely the fight is going to happen. Remember, everybody is beta today. All of these guys with their women-like emotional feelings because somebody said something about them and everything, they even get mad at us, the channel operators and content creators. We out here, we cover the sport and we talk about it. Are we professionals? We could be, but at the same time, there's so much in their feelings that a lot of them don't want to grant us interviews and things like that. But we're the ones who promote them. We're the ones talking about them. We're talking about them right now. So how could you not? Even sometimes bad press is good press, huh? It's got your name out there. It's being discussed. But see, as long as you guys choose sides and you don't choose boxing, you're not going to get the delivery of what the best of boxing has to offer. And that's why promoters like Bob Arum said fans are like rocks. You can kick them wherever you desire. So it's like, think about it. It's that simple, man. LeVar Cooper's out there, says smash the like button. I'm sorry it jumped up on me a little bit because I was behind in the comments. He said, yeah, I'm sorry. Smash the like button once you enter the Sensei's dojo. Yes, sir. And Picasso said, Bud's owners, handlers, are fed up because his cover is blown. Take off the mask, Bud. They're letting him know the chains are off, but he insists on going through the back door. See, Picasso, you know, you keep talking like that, man. And like I said, that I will always have something to disprove of what you're saying because you might not like Bud Crawford, okay? But whoever you do like may find themselves doing something that you don't feel that they should be doing. Remember Keith Thurman when he was contending and he was chasing a title? Remember when he was chasing after Floyd Mayweather and he was talking about, I got an O and I ain't afraid to let it go and all of that, right? But when he became champion, he turned his tune, right? He changed. He became a man that seemed a little more guarded and a little more aware and wary of what the threats were to his position. And so even when people were talking about Earl Spence at the time coming up, right? They were saying, hey, Keith, are you going to fight Earl and this and that? And he was like, oh, who is he fought? And he needs to get a belt and this and that, right? He started talking the political talk instead of talking like he was talking when he was that aggressive man chasing a title. And see, each and every one of these guys actually do it, and they do it because you allow them to. You don't hold them to the same standards. You want to talk about Bud Crawford, his owners and handlers and all of that, but you don't think these other guys don't have owners, handlers, and advisors, huh? Think about it. So while you're over there pointing the finger at one, you ain't looking at all the fingers that are pointing back at the other one, huh? I'm telling you, you don't fall in love with fighters, man. They'll break your heart every time. There are many people who were out here supporting Keith Thurman when he was on the cusp of becoming a champion, and they liked his personality, they liked his fighting, his style, and they were thinking that, oh, this is going to be the guy. Once Floyd is gone away, he's going to take over. Well, he became a different sort. And again, each and every one of these guys can do the same thing. They could talk one way in the media and before the microphones in their faces, but you watch what they do. And still, there's not a lot of that movement, huh? And to his, credit, Keith fought Danny. He fought Sean. The one he didn't fight was Earl, okay? But had people start, instead of just talking about Earl, start talking about Keith, that's the man you need to defend against. That's the guy, he's a young upcoming. You turn back his challenge, you really are the man. No, you start talking about he's ducking and he's this and that. And, Earl is much better. And Earl hadn't even won the title yet. There are guys out there right now. Well, I want to say there are 3 fighters that I have in my mind that Earl is not going to get past if he stays at 147. And that surprises a lot of you because I know a lot of you love Earl Spence. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just like some of you think that Bud Crawford can't get beyond certain guys and how he would surely lose if he were to consider to go up to 154, right? He would certainly lose. But remember, Floyd wasn't a 154 pounder and he went up there and he outboxed a few guys at that weight class. Huh? Bud can box like Floyd. But I don't hear many of you making that comparison because you think about his personality, you think about who he hasn't fought that you would like to see him fight, but you can't take away the man's skill set. Freddie Roach told you about Floyd's skill set years ago, but none of you seem to have locked that into your mind, okay? And that's okay. But when he does things and he disproves what you think and he achieves and he wins, then you get even angrier and you want to push something else out there, some other object in his way. Well, try this. Okay, let me see you beat that. Let me see you jump over this hurdle. Let me see you crawl under that fence. What is all that? Why is it like that for him, but it ain't like that for the guy you like? Huh? Think about it. I keep telling you, stop falling in love with these fighters and love the sport greater. It will serve you better. Huh. Let's see. Who we got? Thrill Hill says, it's difficult to give passes after watching your show last night. Thank you, Thrill Hill. Say it again from the mountaintops, brother. And share it. Share that show. It was a great show, wasn't it? Chavez versus Taylor, the 31st year anniversary. This is what we're talking about. When you could see these two men doing what they were doing, Meldrick Taylor was 23 years old. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. was 27 years old when they fought. Who do you know right now is 27? And who do you know right now is 23 in the sport that could be fighting each other but ain't even considering it? It's several guys, and they're popular names. Think about it. J. Dixon says, Bud has already been fighting guys nobody wants to see, but because people see his skills, it gets looked over. Of course. And because people see his skills, they don't want to fight him. Okay? Not unless there was a tremendous bag at the end of the deal to make it happen. And I'm sorry, some of these men haven't earned that type of rite of passage, including Bud. They need to be in the ring with one another for it to justify the money, the money to be coming afterwards. If, let's just say, if Bud was to have faced Danny Garcia instead of Spence, right? Danny could have made that fight with Bud. He was one of the guys on Bud's list, right? Originally, you go back over a year ago when he was fighting Amir Khan. Danny Garcia was one of those guys. He wasn't really interested in that. Okay? Bud is the kind of fighter that you have to have versatility to get in there and fight with him, and skills. He's not a walk in the park for anyone, but he could make people look bad. It's a lot like Pernell Whitaker. When Pernell Whitaker was doing his thing, am I saying Bud is Pernell Whitaker? Absolutely not. Stormybman is not speaking foolishly. I'm giving an example of the type of fighter and the problems he presents, and how when someone has to go in there against him, they know that they can't look their best. It happens. But you have to beat that guy to get beyond that point. And if you can't beat that guy, then you don't deserve the point and lofty position that you think that you have. You ain't beat nobody. There should be guys chomping at the bit to go after Bud Crawford. He's a man who has come up from smaller divisions to where they are presently, but you can make so much noise in the sport if you went out there and put a loss on his record. But they're not trying to do that. That's not what they're trying to do. Nick Hammer says, Floyd was the consummate professional, lived the life and excelled. Yes, he did. Renee Boxjan says, yeah, Bud needs a dang PR. PGH Big Dog, excuse me. He says, Stormybman, salute to you. And Thrill Hill says, don't think Floyd would have made it to 66 before he lost that old. Well, back in that era, there were some guys who could have handed Floyd a O. But it would have been a great fight between he and Chavez. But I think at the end of the day, he had a little bit more athleticism, movement, and better defensive ability than Meldrick Taylor. and he could have got that victory over Julio Cesar Chavez. Let's see what we got. A lot more comments have come in since I was doing that. Let's see. Trying to go back. Man, you guys were writing in the comment while I was running my mouth, man. I'm trying to get back to this. I'll start with let's see, D Hodges. He says, "What up, Stormy and chat? LDBC, salute OG. Salute to you, D Hodges." And Renee Boxian says, "Very good point, Stormy." And then Boxing and Barbecue has joined us. He says, "Stormy, what's good with you, Boxing and Barbecue?" Rashid Rourke is out there again, as I said before. And Renee Boxian says, "Man, very true. I really like Thurman. Then he just went 180 degrees and now just quite irrelevant, in my honest opinion." Yeah, man. Listen, Keith Thurman was the man at one point. And all of a sudden, boom, right? Nick Hammer says, "Bud is so skillful. He'll be better off when he's away from salty old scrotum-faced Aram." It's no guarantee, Nick Hammer, because is that? I don't have my glasses on. Let me look. I'm sorry, Nick. It's Nick Harmer. Stormy didn't have his glasses on, man. Forgive me. He said, "Bud is so skillful, he'll be better off when he's away from salty old scrotum-faced Aram." Yeah, but that's not the only thing. You have to know that some of these guys, even on the PBC side, right? They're not fighting anybody, and they should be fighting. And it's not that. It's the fighter. At the end of the day, if you push for a fight, your promoter will put you out there. But you got to deliver the goods. Otherwise, you fall on your face, and it's like when you have egg on your face. It's just a big mess, right? But again, if you claim that superiority, if you claim to be so good and everything, why not? But one thing he has exemplified is he's very confident in his own skin. And he is confident about what he's able to do. He doesn't feel he has to call this guy's name specific, that guy. He's like, "Hey, I'm here. What's up?" You know, that kind of thing. But see, you guys want to hear him say so-and-so's name. You want to hear him point at this guy and get in that guy's face. Everybody doesn't operate that way. But at the same time, when you look at what he does to people in the ring, you have to acknowledge the results that he's getting. Now, people want to discredit him and his victory over Kell Brook by saying, "Well, Earl beat him first." Well, okay, I think he could have did the same thing had he fought Kell Brook then. I don't think it would have been much of a difference. But you have to acknowledge a man for his accomplishments. You want me to give Earl a lot of credit for beating Kell Brook like he did, but Kell Brook got beat up by Triple G first. And Triple G is a bigger, stronger man than Earl. So, I mean, why are you doing this? Why are you really doing this instead of talking about the sport? I want to take a moment out and acknowledge my co-host here, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, who has joined us here for this evening's Friday night show. What's going on with you, Reggie? How you doing, bro? You there, Reggie? You on mute if you there. Reg, you might have to go out and come back in if it's not picking up your mic. Or Reggie might be away from his mic because I've been talking so much. I apologize for that. Let me go back to the chat real quick and read some more comments. Picasso says, "I'm biased. Spence's hometown guy, but no hate to Bud because he's American. We got to have organized infighting to crown the king on this land. I see Spence dominating 147 even if they don't fight." Well, you need to get you some glasses, Picasso, because there's a couple of guys out there on the horizon that is going to give Spence all he can handle very soon. Very soon. D. Hodges says, facts. J. Dixon says, I'm just honest. I don't care who the fighter is when they start moving. Flaw, I'm going to point it out. Of course, anyone could move Flaw, but not everyone. Not everyone is, okay? I kind of didn't understand that remark there. Let's see, who else we got? Boxing and Barbecue says, Thurman didn't fight Kell when Kell was Kell. Porter was the only one, and when he was pressured to fight Kell, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah? Renee Boxyoung says, if Ennis keeps pushing, I think he has a big chance of beating Spence and Bud. Renee Boxyoung, hold fast to that comment. You might be onto something there, brother. Nick Harmer says, I caught the three wise men on playback. Quality. Say it again, Nick Harmer. Say it again. Try to tell these guys. They don't listen, though. You hear me telling guys on the Tuesday Tussle, get to the back of the class because they don't listen, man. Hey, Reggie, you there now? I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, what's good with you, man? How you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing good, OG. Glad to make it off that road and back in the house.
Yeah.
Get on this.
Yeah, it's Friday, man. Glad to come to the end of the week. I don't know how much of the beginning of the show you caught because I know you be en route, but I had announced to the chat, man, that I've gone over 175,000 views for the channel. And I received a certificate for that yesterday, and I kind of showed it at the beginning of the show, man. Very proud of that achievement because I got Video IQ out there monitoring me and what I'm doing. And, you know, there's a look at the certificate right there. I just put it back up on the screen. Another landmark for the Stormybman channel, man. We moving along, doing some good things, Reggie. Just proud to be a part of that, bro.
Yes, sir. Keep it rolling.
Yeah. So did you feel like you wanted to chime in on anything that I was saying here about talking about, you know, the interview that Bud Crawford did earlier this week where he went in talking about when they asked him about a fight with Spence and he was saying that that's behind him now. He also made some remarks about Canelo Alvarez and things of that nature. So is it anything out of that Bud Crawford interview that you would like to speak on before we move on to anything else?
No, because I'm past them fighting too. I can care less about Bud and Earl Spence fighting at this point. I would like to see it happen, but no one or two individuals stop a show.
Exactly.
The sport can continue to go on, and there's other names that are on their way up. Exactly. I like boxing, man. I ain't caught up in two fighters like I stated, so I would never be that way. It's just an unfortunate thing. You want to see what these two can do inside the ring with one another. But at the end of the day, they don't stop no show, regardless if they carry these worthless belts or not. That's my thoughts on it. And it ain't about popularity. That's the other thing. I was hearing you say that, and I think a lot of people do play into the popularity of these fighters as well.
Yeah, man. And it's like, you know, they do that to the detriment of the sport now because, see, we've shifted. The era has shifted in the fans, too. See, the fans used to be, if you go back to, like, I know Lennox Lewis is your favorite fighter. If you go back to Lennox's era, right, that's the last of the era where fans, even when they liked the guy, they still wanted to see him fight the best other guy, right? But now we're in this beta male era where everything is so soft. Everybody's in their feelings. Everybody is so sensitive and all of that foolishness that even in the most machismo of sports as boxing, they can't separate that. So they don't want to see their guy in jeopardy or whatever. Well, boxing is a sport of jeopardy. This is where the guys are trying to knock each other's head off. If you don't want that, go take up crochet or something like that, because this is not what boxing is about. And that's what I be talking about. My man Renee Box Young just said, he said, if Ennis keeps pushing, I think he has a big chance of beating Spence and Bud. And I said in my remark just before you came on, I said there's a couple of guys out there. There's about 3 fighters out there to keep your eyes on that will end up whooping Earl Spence if he's still there when they are ready to challenge for the title. And I'm not saying no names. I'll let people try to guess, because these people out here that's so in love, they could never even see these guys coming. Okay? They won't see them coming. And neither will Earl. But see, that's what happens, because the guy that you least expect, boom, that's what happens in boxing. The ring is the ultimate truth test. And I said last year, this fight between Bud and Earl ain't gonna happen. That's gonna be one of those missed opportunities, just like it was between Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis. They've already shown me all the colors, Reggie, that's where that's going. And I wasn't trying to make it a discussion about the two of them. I was just basically talking about the boxing news of the week with what he had to say regarding, because they pressed him, in that interview. The guys that were interviewing him, they pressed him about his, potential fight with Earl, and then they pressed him on his comments on Canelo. And what he said about Canelo, I liked what he said in the aftermath of that even more. He said people mad at what he said about Canelo, he don't give a damn. He stands by his comments. More power to him and power to the people. But yeah, Reggie, that we could leave that right there where it is and move forward. I had heard that this sad excuse of a fighter, GGG, is not looking to fight Jamal Charlo. Okay, he don't want no parts of Jamal Charlo, but instead he may be looking for an opponent like Jaime Munguia. Now, I find this very interesting because Jaime Munguia is now at middleweight. He was at that 154-pound division, and he had a couple of hiccups there. It looked like that fight against Hogan, and I forget the other gentleman that he had a very close shave with. But I'm starting to get the feeling that 160 is his weight, and as a growing young man as he is, and as an aging young man as GGG is, I think I want to see this fight, Reggie, because I want to see somebody put GGG out of his misery. And since he doesn't want to fight the caliber of fighter that we consider Jamal Charlo, because Jamal is definitely a threat to someone like him who's getting older, slower, his feet is slow, he's a plotter, and he don't get out of the way of punches. He's kind of tailor-made for Maul, even though Maul doesn't have much better footwork than he does, but he's more athletic than Triple G is. But I think Jaime Munguia might be the guy to batter this guy into retirement, because that's what's next for GGG. I see him. He needs to go to the graveyard of fighters, and I want to see someone push him over there as fast as possible, because the guy has just been holding up the sport after all that hype and after all of that ridiculousness from Abel Sanchez. I just want the guy to be finished, Reggie. Stick a fork in him because he's done. What are your thoughts on this?
I want both of them to be done. Jaime Munguia is no different than Triple G. He was Ryan Garcia before Ryan Garcia. When Munguia was, name was rising, he was looking like he was going to be something. He's talking about what he'll do to this fighter and what he'll do to that fighter, calling this and that guy out. And the minute they respond, he went silent. And the minute he had his first tough, when he had his semi step up and it ended up becoming tough, a lot of that talk Tommy McGill started off with, it faded off into the dark. You don't even hear nothing about it. You barely hear nothing. You barely hear anything about him as he's trying to play a very low profile. And that one, I don't care which one of them knock each other out. I just hope both of them do it. They hurt each other and get the way out, because I don't trust McGill to come in here and do anything. McGill ain't gonna fight nobody. He's just a younger version of what we seeing from Triple G. And Triple G's disappointing, but Triple G's another reason why I'll always state, where some people, they get caught up in about how white media shows favor and hype up particular races of people. And my thing is always, it's the most damaging thing that white media does. White media destroys a lot of these fighters that they give, favor and privilege to. Doesn't turn them into stars. Doesn't turn them into memorable athletes. They get forgotten about as soon as they walk out. Matter of fact, Triple G ain't even out the game, and he's still kind of forgotten about. Best thing he had was his matchups against Canelo. Nobody wants to see it, and Canelo don't even want to see it. So his reign is gone, or his time is gone. But neither one of them I can care about, because I don't think McGee is going to do the proper thing, even if he is to beat Triple G. He ain't going to go to Mood to fight one of the Charlos and Andrade. The most he'll try to go for is Canelo, and there's a reason why everybody will try to go for Canelo, and that's the money factor. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I want to take it to the chat for a couple of acknowledgments. My man Stay Sharp is out there. He says salute to the chat and the OG Stormy B, man. Salute to you, bro. Mr. Mechanical is saying facts for sure, Stormy B, man. And Stay Sharp says these boxers have no clue on how to capture the moments and push for the fights. Yeah, man. They really allow the opportunities to go by the wayside and not maximize what their potentials are. And it's a shame. Picasso said, I'm trying to put pressure on you, Stormy B, man, but you too calm and cool over there. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, so competition on a high level is my thing. I'm hoping Bud's talents are not at the disposal of Bob. Listen, Picasso, that's you cannot battle a martial mind when you have a martial mind yourself and don't understand that you might have a style of jiu-jitsu, but like Lee, I'm all styles, bro. I can break it down. You're not going to get me off my square. You can try to your heart's content. I'll still come back with something for you. As Mr. T said to Rocky in Rocky movie, I got some more if you get up, a lot of more. I've been doing this a very long time, and jiu-jitsu don't bother me. A good jab to the chin and followed by a right hand is all over for your jiu-jitsu. And you got to know how to snap the jab. Not just languish it out there where you can grab the arm and grab the guy and get him in a hold and take down and all of that. No, ain't gonna happen. Plus, Stormy B, man, got that thing on his side as well. So in case, we finish it off that way. Nick Harmer says, Aram is so negative about Crawford, though, openly saying he's wasted money on him and he could have bought a house in Beverly Hills instead. Well, Nick Harmer, that's the thing. Aram may have lost more money on Tyson Fury if you're really wise to the game and you see who he's really mad at. He's mad at himself and he's mad at Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is the one that really didn't deliver the goods after being given so much money to work with. Not Bud Crawford, Tyson Fury. Check the timing. Check the timing of when that crossed over. Bud Crawford has been fighting who he's been fighting, but Tyson Fury has not delivered the goods on anything. And for those fights that he fought on Top Rank, they lost money, man. Big time. And I think those are the homes that Mr. Aram could have bought. But he just put it in Bud's lap. And that's okay. That's okay, because Tyson Fury is still costing Aram money right now. But I'll be waiting for the day when he finally owns up to that and admits it. What are your thoughts about that, Reggie?
And what is that about Bob Arum losing money out on Fury?
Yeah. That's the one he's lost the money on, not Bud Crawford.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
And these
Heck
people,
yeah.
listen, I told you, Bob Arum, when he says stuff, he says the boxing fans are like rocks. You can just kick them in any direction you want. He says something like that, and everybody goes into what he says, and they, oh, Bud, see, Bud is costing them money. Bob is bleeding money like a woman on her menstrual cycle from dealing with Tyson Fury. I bet at the end of the day, he wish he never got involved with the guy.
ESPN as well. And it's an absolute, and that's why it didn't make no sense for him to make those statements. Just him having no respect for fighters.
Right.
But when it comes to this foreign heavyweight, he ain't got too much to say. They can't even put on an event that sells anything. And now they're stuck in a hold with this fighter who won't honor a contract, and now he can't do anything but go back into the fight that he's avoiding. And right now it's holding everything up. It's holding everything up because, like, what's the statement about with the heavyweights? It goes the sport of boxing. And these dudes is tying it up when that fight should be happening. Get back in the ring again, get things settled, go back to making money. Bob can't do nothing. So he has to rely on these fighters who he crapped on.
Which one of those fights was it that Fury fought where they turned the lights down in the stadium because they didn't even sell 4,000 tickets? Remember? And I forget.
I think that might have been Otto Wallen.
Yeah, and they, they was playing camera angles and stuff on the broadcast. It's like, that's the man who is costing money. It's not Bud Crawford, but he blamed it on Bud. Bud is an in-house fighter, and Bud is taking those lumps. See, people looked at it like, oh, Bud is like, if Arum really, felt like that about me, I'll be calling for the, let me out my contract. Bud contract is coming to an end anyway, and he'll decide what he's going to do at that time. But he knows the game that's being played. He don't have to say nothing. He knows what the truth is. We know what the truth is if you really watching boxing for what it is, because Tyson Fury is the man that has made them lose money. It's not Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford was there way before Tyson Fury came on the scene, before they decided to run over there and grab him and promote him, right? Because that's what they did. They threw a bag at him. Bud was still fighting who he was fighting and where he was fighting. It didn't have nothing to do with Tyson Fury. But when Tyson Fury came under that umbrella, that's where the loss of funds came from. They thought that they had a big guy for the division, a heavyweight, and a guy with a mouth, and they thought that they were going to be able to utilize that and go forward. But he cost them more than he won any revenue for them. And that's the truth about Tyson Fury. And I was going to get into him anyway, Reggie, and we could just go ahead and segue on in there since we found that thread. He's been in and out of the headlines saying so many different things. Now he's saying that he might as well just have to fight Wilder or whatever, when that's probably going to be what, at the end of this arbitration and everything that's going on, it'll probably be what's mandated. Either he do that, give up the title, or retire from the sport and pay legal compensation or something like that. But he has got himself in a world of trouble, and it's not looking good for him. But again, he is the one that you can track the loss of funds to Top Rank and ESPN and Bob Arum. You can trace it back to him for his foolishness and shenanigans. What else do you have on him and while we got him on the board there, Reggie?
This is the other side of stuff, man, that failed. That's why I be like, man, people have to stop just playing the reek role when they speak about racism and what you see in the media. And especially we got the voice that is just as powerful as these other folks, as any folks. All you have to do is expose things, not to run with it. They doing this and that, and they gonna get it. Like, we ain't gotta cry. I hate to hear so many of us cry like these fools are so powerful, or they so supreme, because people buy into this kind of language and talk. Ain't nothing supreme about these dudes. Ain't nothing that powerful about them. every little trick they try. This is the game of life. There's always tricks trying to be played, and if you sit idle, these tricks get implemented. But the thing with Tyson Fury being brought in here, and the story they try to run during the whole build up and kind of surrounding with him is his whole, overcoming mental health and all this other stuff. But then comes these other things that relates to the background of Tyson Fury, and it has killed off that whole thing that they can kind of run a story on and get the, crying soft hearts of foolish people in America who buys into that stuff, and now they turned away from it. They disgusted by what they hear. So all that trickery they try to pull with Tyson Fury, running him as kind of a mental health ambassador, the mental health don't even want that fool representing anything close to him. So they kicked him away from that. Endorsements, can't endorse this fool. It's too much stuff attached to him. No sponsor will attach their names to Tyson Fury. No brand will attach themselves to a Tyson Fury. So none of it works. So where can they do? Where can they get the marketing gains from Tyson Fury? They can't. They can't gain nothing marketing-wise from Tyson Fury. They haven't been able to gain anything marketing-wise from none of the guys up over there. So what has boxing done for, not boxing, what has Bob Arum done for ESPN? Not a dang thing. The best benefit they got is having Dana White with the UFC up over there. But Bob Arum and Tyson, Bob Arum thought he found a gold mine with Tyson Fury because of that first fight where he saw that he had nothing to do with. And they thought they could make an additional run on that. Wow, we found a heavyweight. The guy they can run with that. Thought they'd see a continuous reign with him, and they were going to be able to gain viewerships and do other things with Fury. And it's fallen flat. He has this attachment to being a cheater from the perspective of equipment and the perspective of what he puts into his blood system. So it's hard to run with that. Then on top of that, he's a narcotic user, and these are things that you can't have associated with somebody that's supposed to bring upon the imaging, because what you call is also a Disney, ESPN is a Disney branded company. So, I mean, it ain't too much that you can run with putting sponsorship behind a guy like that. And it's just not working. It doesn't work here, and it doesn't work over in the UK for this guy. So the walls have really started to close in on Tyson Fury. Ain't too much they got going, and Bob Arum being slick has out-slicked himself, and it's cost him. All you did was hear Bob Arum crying about stuff in boxing. Pay-per-view is not this. Pay-per-view ain't this. What you talking about? Pay-per-view ain't this and that. The dudes over on ESPN loving the pay-per-views they seeing from Dana White and the UFC, because Dana White putting on way more pay-per-view events than we see with Al Heyman, who he tends to want to try to throw shade and crap at. Same thing with DAZN. The DAZN has abandoned that whole no pay-per-view talk. When you put on fights that people want to see, they're going to pay for them. When you put on any events that people want to see, they're going to pay for them. So Bob Arum's just foolish, outdated. He wants things to be his way, but his way is the archaic way, and it ain't going to happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Quick moment into the chat, man. I want to go back because we got some guys out there. We got Sylvester out there. He says, "What's good, Stormy? Salute." Boxing and Barbecue said Boots has a skill set to possibly beat the top 147, but his inexperience is going to be the determining factor to get him beat. I agree with that. Retros for Life 79 Boxing out there says, "Salute Stormy B-Man and Reggie." Picasso's congratulating on 175,000 views. LeVar Cooper's saying congratulations, Sensei. Stay sharp as well. Rashid Work applauding. Mike 202 saying blessings, Sensei. Stormy B-Man, and congratulations on the views. Keep up the great work. For sure, man, we are grinding. Mr. Mechanical says, yes, sir, Stormy making power moves. Yes, indeed. And CB Sports TV is out there. He says, salute Stormy B-Man. Salute to you. Carl Burrell and Boxing and Barbecue is saying agreed. And Picasso says, calm down, Stormy B-Man. Seems like Triple G got under your skin just slightly. No, I just want to see Triple G get out of there, man, because he held a spot in the division that was very prominent, that could have allowed for some good fights to take place, and because he ducked people, it's like he just held up that a division where he competed for almost his career. He could have fought Andre Ward, he could have fought Charlo, he could have fought what's his name, Andre. He could have. There could have been some better fights for him, and he's just been kind of sitting there, sucking up the oxygen of the division, and he's not as good as advertised or hyped, and it's time for him to be gone. That's all. I like the fact that Canelo whooped his behind and just left him in the dust, thinking that he might have a chance at a trilogy. Canelo ain't thinking about fighting that dude again, and I hope he never even looks at him again. So that's what I got to say about that dude, Triple G, man. And we could go forward with what our conversation is. I just wanted to get that out of the way with the announcements of the brothers, the comments that they were making, and the congratulations on the views, because I wanted to acknowledge those well wishes. Reggie, also a part of this Fury debacle, who seems to be holding up the division himself with these choices and things that he's done. AJ and his fight that was supposedly announced late last summer, remember? And it still ain't happening. And it's more than likely due to the arbitration situation that's going on behind the scenes with he and Wilder. But let's just say this. Notice how extremely quiet AJ has been. You remember how when there was a talk or announcement of another fight, AJ would always have something to say, right? He'd chime in with his 2 cents or whatever. But this is the thing about the biggest fight in British history. It ain't gonna happen, especially not over there, because Tyson Fury gave up his boxing license for over there. He wasn't trying to return because they got some more dirt on him over there, Reggie. And the fact that, his suspension that he had off of the Klitschko situation, this whole thing about when he tested positive for PEDs and everything, he's actually literally been on interview on cam talking about everybody in the sport using, including himself. When he was asked, he just kind of like, he didn't say no. And it's like, could a person ever made themselves more culpable in circumstances than this guy? He is truly a gypsy, man. He's a cheater, bro. And it's like AJ has been sucked into this tunnel instead of going out there and trying to fight and make his own legacy. If he had listened to us 5 years ago and fought Deontay Wilder when he was supposed to fight him, one of those two guys would be the champion today, I believe. But it's like, no, he listened to Hearn and Matchroom, and look at what he's got to show for it. A loss. And yes, he's regained the title, but what really has he done? That fight against Pulev? Man, that was some garbage. Okay, so, and he hasn't gotten better. I've said this many times, and people are like, Stormy say he hasn't gotten better. What is that supposed to mean? And look at him. He hasn't gotten better, and he hasn't fought anybody better. Everyone he has fought, including Andy Ruiz Jr., have been moderate guys. Moderate. The guys who were considered above that moderate level were Wilder, Fury, and Ortiz. Has he fought any of those three? No. So he been knocked out by a moderate guy, Andy Ruiz Jr. So it's like, come on, man. What are your thoughts, Reggie? The fact that the biggest fight in British history was on the table. It was signed. Remember? Daniel, my boy! And it ain't happened yet, and it ain't gonna happen. What are your thoughts, Reggie?
Man, Stormy, I put a video out before they start coming out with all this, because I predicted that this fight wasn't going to happen. I just felt it. There's nothing being stated about it. And I'm like, where's all this build up around this fight? Where's this dates? Where all this stuff? And it's just been apparent that ain't nothing happening with this fight. I just didn't like the fact that, they're trying to create excitement around it. I think that needs to be hushed every second they speak of it. And then it came to the point to where Tyson Fury had to speak out about it. That has not happened. I mean, I can just catch a feeling of what's going on and what's not. That's why I was like, I'm just put a video out stating this, because as I'm thinking about it, I get in here and sit here and just think about stuff going on in the sport and thinking like, dang, why the heck I ain't hear nothing about this supposed to be big fight? I'm like, Fury's been out for a whole year. What's his name? Anthony Joshua finished in a fight in December. We was in February back then. I'm like, before a fight can get announced, that's at least 2 more months. He's going to be extending his time out. If he doesn't get back in the ring, he's going to be stuck out the ring for another year. And Tyson Fury be stuck out for almost 2, if not at least 18 months, 19 months. So how long are you going to stay away from this game, waiting for something that you should just agree upon, get it over with, get the courts about your business, and do what you signed for? But that's my thoughts on it. I just knew it wasn't going to happen. And Eddie Hearn will announce stuff to kind of pull people into gaining support of it. But on this one, Eddie, I mean, legal is what legal is. So that's my thoughts on it.
Have you ever seen such a period of inactivity by several different guys all linked together? And we're not talking about Wilder here. Let's exclude him, because he is a part of this arbitration situation. But Wilder was ready to go through with his contracted obligation of a 3rd fight. It's Fury and his people that try to avoid this and try to reach out and make deals with other camps and stuff like that. But have you ever seen, Reggie, a period of such inactivity at the top of the division because guys are too, let's just say, soft to go out there and do the natural thing that they're supposed to do? That's to face one another. You know what would be Joshua's best move right now? It would never, ever, ever happen. But you know what his best move would be right now? To fight Luis Ortiz. That would be his best move. And what it would do is it would shut up critics about moves he's made in the past, and he finally facing down a demon. But I wouldn't give him much credit because it's like 3 years removed from when he really was supposed to do it, right? So it's like maybe 4 years. So it's like you would like to see him do this, but he's not going to do it. Now, the other thing would be for Fury to just give up the title, because he doesn't want to get back in there with Wilder. He really doesn't, okay? I want to see him get back in there because they need to complete that trilogy and let the chips fall where they may. A lot of people feel like Wilder will get in there and knock him out or whatever. But I have a thing that I think about, and I say, well, if anything, that might turn into a really ugly grudge type thing and maybe some illegal stuff happening. As you know, that the sport has to be ready for that. And maybe that's why that may not happen as well. But the other guys in the division, they're not moving either, Reggie. We saw Dominique Brazil get beat up by Otto Wallin. He has just become a viable contender for someone else that is inactive. Maybe Joshua can fight him. I don't know. All I'm trying to ask is, isn't it strange that the division, as so go boxing, and I said this, as so go the heavyweights rather, I said this at the beginning of the show, so goes the sport of boxing. And my goodness, is boxing following the heavyweights or not? They really are. Look at this crap. Fight somebody. Get your butt in the ring and fight, man. And these guys are just kind of doing this kind of goofy stuff. And in the meantime, kids like that Big Baby Anderson or whatever, maybe he can grow, get more experience under his belt, and next thing you know, he's going to be knocking on the door. Because I'm going to tell you, Danny Dubois, he's not it. Joe Joyce, a little bit inactive for him too. Dillian White, which we will be discussing him in a moment coming up, it's like, you know, the jury's out on that. There's a possibility he could defeat this guy this weekend, and there's a possibility it could go the same way it went the first time. But what are your thoughts, Reggie, on this? The heavyweight mired in muck situation.
Man, it's another situation where I don't follow them when they screwing it up. I don't follow them. I look elsewhere. I still want to see what Daniel Dubois was going to do. I still want to hold on into thinking that he can possibly do something in his career. I'm gonna still hold a little faith in him. I'm gonna see what he can do. Working on head movement, a little defense. I think he can begin to kind of fix where he went wrong and continue to move forward. And being he's young, Joe Joyce. I want to see when the Furies, the AJs, and Wilders are locked up in what they got going on. I want to see these other guys get more active. They got to start doing what that kid calls himself Big Baby Anderson. They got to get in this ring. They need to be fighting often. They can build a lane for themselves. Joe Joyce versus F.A. Anderson, matter of fact, got a fight coming up soon again. He's getting in the mix. He's developing. I don't think he's at the level of being able to step in with an F.A. or Joe Joyce yet. You got Herkovich. You got Michael Hunter. I want to see those dudes get more active. And it's their time to start doing it. Start taking a piece away from what AJ, Tyson Fury, and what Wilder are held up in. Start moving them because they're aging out. They're towards the end of the game anyway. It's time for these dudes to start making their mark. Like I said, I'm not caught up on none of these fighters. I like Wilder more than I like any of the heavyweights. Probably one of the top guys I like in boxing, but I still like the sport of boxing above anything. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, you look at the age of these guys. Wilder's going to be 36. AJ is going to be like, he's 31 now, I think. He's going to be 32. I mean, these guys with not much taking place in their careers, fighting once every 12 to 18 months or so, these young guys are going to eat them up. And I'm sorry, I had to disagree on the Dubois thing, Reggie. That dude is, he maybe lower top 10 at best, from 6 through 10. It's like, I don't think he'll ever be 5 through 1. And the way that he lost to Joe Joyce, I've seen some things like that before in the past. I don't think he has it, Reggie. There'll be some guys he can beat because he's strong, he's got a good punch or whatever. But I see him more along the lines. There was a guy back in the past era, a guy like Everett Bigfoot Martin. He could get in there and give a guy a tough go on any given night or whatever. But he was never going to be the world champ. I kind of see Dubois in that ilk. And out of the UK with no head movement and everything, he didn't change up trainers, which he should try to get some Western coaching in where they could give him some upper body movement because he's young enough for that. But 2 or 3 more years and he will be settled into who he really is as that fighter. And if he doesn't get with someone who can teach him those little subtle nuances for defense purposes, he's going to be what you see is what you get, you know. And there are some younger fighters on it, like Hunter and Herkovic, like you said. This guy Tony Yoka, which I don't think much of him, but it's like there are a lot of guys that, again, with all this mess at the top of the division and the lack of movement, these younger guys have a chance to develop, as you suggested. And that's what I had already said. I said this about a year ago on our show. I said that AJ was going to mess around with his inactivity and whatnot and give these guys who are developing a chance to catch up. And the next thing you know, they are going to be challenging for those titles he has, whether it be one for one sanctioning body, another for the second and third, and so forth and so on. This is the thing that happens in boxing when you don't make your move when strike when the iron is hot. AJ has been sitting on those titles. At the end of the day, I think he'll be more proud to say he held the titles for X amount of time instead of had X amount of defenses. And that's the lie that these guys convince themselves over. You see, like Tony Harrison, when he got that decision over Mel Charlo, he didn't want to fight 6 months later. He fought him a year later, so he could say he's a champ for a year. Think about that, Reggie. What type of mindset is that? Where you go out there and you fight, you're active, you could have had 3 defenses within that year. But I think there was an immediate rematch for them, so that's why he faked that injury and put it off and stuff like that. But still, if he just fought the guy 6 months later and beat him in a rematch, now you go on a string and start defending for yourself. AJ should have had many defenses by now. And he's been like just laid on the shelf, man, running around being friends with Floyd Mayweather and all this, but not really accomplishing nothing in the ring, and has lost the title, regained it from the guy he lost it to because the guy was fat and woefully out of shape. That's nothing to really celebrate. And they treated him like he had come back and knocked out Frank Bruno or what's his name, the other UK fighter, Lennox Lewis. No, he beat up a fat dude who couldn't even catch up to him because he was moving. Come on, man. Really? And he's yelling two-time. I'm like, man, that's why I don't refer to these guys as champs. I call them titleists because the title could just be changed, hands stripped, or whatever. A champion reigns, you know? Anything else to say about that before we move forward?
No, that's all I got on that one.
Yeah. So also this week, Reggie, we had the chance to hear a little more banter on the possibility of Mike Tyson and Holyfield's the rubber match, you know, but it's gonna be for, or the potential to be for a exhibition. Although I don't think it could possibly be an exhibition between these two guys. Between Mike and Roy, I'm sure there was an agreement because Roy was probably telling Mike behind the scenes, dude, don't go out there and be trying to knock me out and hurt me. You know, it's like, because that's how Roy is. He'll speak up for himself. But in this fight between these two guys, if it does come to pass, which I got a slight underlying feeling that I don't think it's going to happen, but it may. But this is the type of situation where old feelings can come into the equation. It kind of reminds me of this thing that I saw one time, Reggie, not to take it too far off subject, but Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank were competing in this like athletic decathlon challenge or something. And you know they had a trilogy, right? And those guys never really liked each other. Man, they almost came to blows fighting in the damn decathlon. Like,
you talking about one of them races?
Huh? What'd you say?
You talking about the decathlon like one of those races?
Well, they were
like
doing like an athletic challenge thing. It's on YouTube somewhere. Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank. And dude, they almost got into it again, into a real fight. It's like they were doing, it wasn't even boxing. It was just they were doing some athletic stuff. You know how like they've had these shows on like The Gladiator and stuff like that on American TV. You ever seen those shows? You there, Reggie?
No, I was saying, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was something like that, but it was over in the UK. And they were on that, and they got into it, man. It was like they was ready to, you know, go at it again for real. And it wasn't for the cameras. It's like those dudes don't like each other. So I'm just saying, the thing is with Mike and Holyfield, don't forget, I'm sorry. You could apologize all you want and everything, Reggie, but if you bit a chunk of my ear out, okay, And every day I look in the mirror, I can see that, right? Dude, I'm gonna have something for you every time. It's like you hear what I'm saying. So this right here may be the realest fight out of anything that could be made this year, and they're gonna try to call it as an exhibition.
Yeah, no, I think Holyfield and Tyson gonna have a real fight. They going at it. I think this supposedly gonna be a real fight.
Absolutely, because there's no way that this is gonna be just, two guys that once were great champs and stuff going out there, poop, poop, that pop, no. First blow thrown, Holyfield gonna have a flashback. I'm sorry. I can see it happening, bro. I'm telling you. And Mike Tyson might bite him again or kick him in the nuts this time. Listen, man, it's two older dudes, too. And ain't nobody meaner than two old dudes, Reggie. Seriously.
Yeah, no doubt. But no, I can't wait. But I think the delay in it is an amazing reason. And it's the fact that Mike Tyson can turn down $25 million because it's probably 30 out there. That's crazy.
Dude, it is really something to keep your eye out for. I'm telling you. I don't know if I'd buy it, but I would want to see, because I want to see when is it going to turn for real. Because it's going to turn for real at one point. The ref might be in there trying to break them and end up on the floor and stuff. Remember, when Mike Tyson fought Lou Savarese, he dropped Lou Savarese with a big left hook to the top of the head early in the fight, right? And Lou Savarese went down. The ref got up. He was counting and stuff. I mean, he got up. The ref was counting. And then the fight resumed, and he punched Lou Savarese a couple more times, and Savarese was hurt. So the ref went in to, stop it. And Mike Tyson pushed the ref around. He went around the ref at first and was still punching Savarese, and the ref was in between trying to wave it off. Mike Tyson was like, damn the ref. He was like, he lost it. These two guys get in the ring again. Hey, get your popcorn. That's all I'm going to say, man. Exhibition or not. All right? That's going to be something ugly. When I said about the Roy Jones fight with Tyson, I said this could be something that could go bad for the sport of boxing. Yeah. Don't forget, Mike Tyson, he's still doing drugs. It's like he'll train for this or whatever, but he's still doing his drugs too. So Holyfield going to be ready for a real fight like it was 2000, where they fought in 96, like it's 1997. That's what he gonna tell you. I'm telling you, man. Watch this fight, bro. Watch what happens if it comes off. Hopefully it don't come off, because I'm telling you, something bad's gonna happen in that one, and I'm predicting it right here. There's something bad gonna happen in that one, and everybody gonna be mad and everything. I'm telling you. So. But, yeah, I don't have anything else on that one, Reggie. But one of the peak freak shows is a fight that's on the horizon. We got slated for May 1st. The news had come down, Reg, that Chisora and Parker are going to finally get in there with each other. Now, this is not a great fight by any means. Chisora is now just a journeyman, gatekeeping type guy. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even put him on the gate. I put him in the parking lot, because the gate gives indication that he may be guarding something worth guarding. But in the parking lot, where there could be carjackings and everything, and that's where you put Chisora. So he's not even a gatekeeper as far as I'm concerned. What are your thoughts on this one here that's coming up May 1st?
I don't think nothing of it. It's Chisora. I don't think nothing of it. I think Joseph Parker is just going to be able to just box him, outscore him, send it to a decision, and take the victory. If anything, if he can push the pace on it, he can force a stoppage, and it's just going to be Chisora being out of shape and not able to sustain his win. That same thing with the Usyk fight. Usyk thing was just to wait him out because Chisora's going to try to come at him to take his head off. That's exactly what he did. And towards not even late in the fight, probably towards the third round, he was tired. And going against Joseph Parker, it's going to be the same thing. Parker just pushed the pace on him, make him work at a rate that he's not trying to work at, fatigue him very fast, and possibly stop him or send it to a scorecard. But I just don't catch Chisora's. He's been into too many wars, and I don't think his body is responding to. If he's doing any type of training, his body's just not responding to it.
And do you realize that David Haye was still trying to sell us on he really training for that fight against Usyk? There is no way that man trained for that fight, Reggie, against Usyk. If he did, then the whole thing about training, it needs to be called into question, because I'm sorry, he just looked woeful. Wouldn't you agree? He looked like he was winded after like one round, you know. He just didn't look like a guy that was there to compete against Usyk. And I'm sorry, he looked horrible. But hey, this is what they're telling us, that the guy was okay, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. 1 second. We're gonna say salute to Taylor Bell back again in that super chat. He says, "What's your opinion on De La Hoya's comeback?" I wouldn't be surprised if De La Hoya is angling his way for Triple G, because Triple G looks so vulnerable right now. It would not surprise me in the least. And I'll tell you that De La Hoya may question Triple G's heart and competitive nature. It would not be surprised if that's the fight that he would be trying to angle himself for. You want to take a stab at answering that question, Reggie? And thanks, Taylor Bell.
Man, Triple G will put De La Hoya inside of a hospital and a drug rehab. De La Hoya then screwed off his finances, and that's the only reason why he's trying to get back in there. But maybe why not if he can find a big enough fight? But to go in here and compete against these active fighters, he's fooling himself. He needs to fight one of these guys who's been retired as long as him. But if he thinks he's going to compete against one of these active fighters, he'll get killed.
Of course he would. But I said that's what I think he was angling himself for. He said, what's my opinion on De La Hoya's comeback? I think that that's the type of fight that he would be looking. Triple G is really slipped, man. And I'm not saying this in favor of De La Hoya. I'm giving an excuse of who I think, not an excuse, but an explanation of who I think he would be gunning for. But definitely someone like that, because that's a named fighter. But the guy he's on the bad side. Triple G is like 38 or 39, something like that. But in boxing years, he might be the same age as Ortiz, because he has such a long amateur career and everything, and he just looked horrible to me. But yes, I agree. De La Hoya is coming for the money, and I'm not saying that he would win against GGG. I just said that that's the kind of fight that I think he would take that whooping from that guy, but I don't think it would be somebody like Mal Charlo or Andre or somebody like that. I don't think it would be that. Or even Canelo. I don't think it would be that at all. But to get back to these heavyweights, man, listen, Reggie, this weekend, man, you're going to make the call. We got Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin back for a another go round. Man, what are your thoughts here on this one? And for those of you, you may have saw my jumbotron there, but I'll put it up there a little bit bigger for you. This was the last time that we saw these guys in the ring with each other. I kept this as a memento, and I love watching it from time to time. Drew Titan once suggested, he said, man, you ought to just keep that on loop. And I agree with him. We should keep this on loop. Hopefully we'll have another one of these to add after Saturday. But this coming Saturday, Reggie, we got these guys going out there, going for it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this fight. How do you see it?
I'm looking for another repeat. I'm looking to be amped up watching another knockout of Dillian White by Povetkin, preferably another uppercut. That's what I see, man. I think Dillian White has underserved himself. He's allowed himself to be used as an object and as a tool for a shady promoter. And there's other suspect stuff that comes from Dillian White. The BS talking that comes from him, the fact that he refused to get out here and compete with other notable heavyweight names, and he's just focusing on one guy just for not even that he's focused on one guy. He did this for Eddie Hearn to interfere with trying to keep, Wilder from going after AJ. And it's a sucker move. What the heck, Dillian White standing in the way? If it is supposed to be viewed in his position of the top two guys going after, you lost to AJ, move out the way. And matter of fact, you a fighter over there in the AJ side of things. You got the best thing that AJ could have fought, because AJ wasn't fighting too much of anybody. But the fact that Eddie Hearn wasn't going to give you that fight. He wasn't going to give you the money. AJ wasn't going to give you the money. So it just shows the buffoonish side of Dillian White. You should have got that. You should have been back in the ring once again against Anthony Joshua to earn you one of them Anthony Joshua paydays. But you've been a sucker for these dudes. All that 600-day left as a mandatory. You refusing to fight Luis Ortiz, talking about he's old. Then you get in the ring with a guy who's older than Luis Ortiz and almost gets embarrassed. Then the whole failure of a drug test, the unsanctioned gloves, stuff like that surrounds this dude. I want to see him get knocked out again, because he has underserved the sport of boxing. He's underserved himself. Even when he came over here acting as if he's going to do free agent stuff, Eddie Hearn knew that his boy wasn't going that far. He still had a chain around his leg. He'd be right back up over there. He just let him come over here to watch a fight. But Dillian White has just fooled himself. He's another dude who goes into camp, but his body doesn't respond to what he's doing. He's gotten to that point to where his body's no longer responding to what his brain wants it to do, and he's going to get knocked out again. He's going to come out here early. He's going to try to get Povetkin out of here pretty quick. I believe that's what he's going to try to do. Povetkin probably be mindful of it. Just stay patient. And once again, you knock Povetkin down. If he ain't out, he's going to get back up. And his thing is just timing. He's going to come out here against an aggressive, come forward type. And matter of fact, if Dillian White's going to come out here in this aggressive style, all Povetkin has to do is just let this guy set himself up, come forward on him, time him, slip something, countering. And I think that'll be all she wrote if this guy connects to his chin once again. But he's just going to have to deal with Dillian coming out here early. That's going to be Dillian's best efforts. If the fight gets towards the middle parts of the fight, Dillian's going to be in trouble if Povetkin hasn't slowed down, if he hasn't done nothing to tire Povetkin down. So he better hope that his body is responding, Dillian White, that he doesn't start to fade, because otherwise he's getting knocked out again. I'm going to be in there screaming and celebrating.
It is so easy for this to go the same way, It's so easy, Reggie, because I'm just looking at this clip, man. It's so easy for it to happen like this because he's not that good a boxer. Dillian White is not a good boxer. And if he had fought Luis Ortiz, if he had fought even possibly Dominique Brazil, this is what could happen to him. This man took one of the simplest feints off of a jab and a slip over, and he took everything. And the worst part about it is he was in utter denial. Like, oh, I want to fight again in 6 months. I want a rematch. He didn't even say, let me go back and look at the tape and see what I did wrong. He just in utter defiance that this took place. Bro, he knocked Povetkin down several times in the fight. But Povetkin was never unconscious or out on his feet or wobbled and, need necessarily to overlook him and make sure he might have to step in and stop it. He got dropped, he get right back up and kept fighting. Dillian was knocked unconscious. This was worse than when AJ stopped him. Do you see the massive force of this uppercut? The guy looked like he ain't never been hit like that in his life. And the fact that he said, 6 months, I want to go right back in there. Okay, yeah, that's brave and bravado, but it's also utter ignorance for someone who don't have boxing skills. It's like he think that, I can make some adjustments. Next time, Povetkin may just come over with an overhand right and hit him on top of his head and he go down. You understand? Which would make for matching bookends, a left uppercut and then a right hand to the head, the two knockouts in two different ways. Because he does not do things like a normal boxer would. The way do you see him standing there with his feet together? That's not an adjustment that you make simply in one camp, Reggie, because he's been doing it his entire career. When he knocked out Derek Chisora was going to work on him and his feet was together like that, but he threw a left hook and hit Chisora because Chisora wasn't defensive minded at all. His chin was languishing way out in the air and everything, and Dillian Whyte threw a hope to hell hook and knocked him out. So they were basically two of a kind. But this is one of those things where Povetkin, who is a aging fighter himself, but he's still a veteran. And remember, I said this once before in one of our other shows. Povetkin was the best fighter from the Olympic team that he was on from that Olympics. He's the best fighter from that Olympics to compete who never won a professional world title. So that's something, to think about. This may be his chance to catapult himself beyond White and get in the heavyweight sweepstakes, because he did lose to Joshua, but he could make himself a viable contender for the Fury Wilder situation when it clears up, or even because Wilder was going to fight him had he not failed the PED situation. But going forward, even one of the young guys, Herkovic or someone like that, be a good opportunity. So, or what about Povetkin and Ortiz? That'll be something. But what are your final thoughts on that, Reg?
What about who these guys can go on and fight next?
Yeah, if he gets past White, what would you like to see with Povetkin going forward? Man, because I'm before you answer, let's consider it in this aspect. If White wins the rematch, he's going to pump the brakes on everything as far as who he would fight next. But Povetkin would be more open, I believe, to fighting someone if he's victorious. So, okay, go ahead and give me your thoughts.
Povetkin, I think Povetkin's accepts where he's at. Maybe he goes to. Maybe he tries to go after Luis Ortiz or something. I don't know, but then again, I think Povetkin may be trying his last hurrah at the title. Maybe he takes on Deontay Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where Povetkin goes. I don't know if Povetkin takes this fight and calls it an end. I just don't see. I think he'll think very hard before he takes a Wilder fight, because even in his younger stage, before he took the Wilder fight, he made sure he tried to put something synthetic in his blood to help him. So I don't know if he'll take that Wilder fight or even fight. Well, he lost to AJ. He already got spanked by AJ, so I don't think he wants to try to compete at that level. I think he's rather contest himself against these guys here, along where Dylan White is. He already lost to Michael Hunter, or he should have lost that fight. So I don't think he's going to try to take anything any more difficult, because I think he's going to accept where he's at.
Yeah. It would be interesting, though. It would be interesting. So, and I see Jay Dixon out there in the chat. He says, damn, Estrada got the franchise belt. Shaking my head. This game is messed up. Yeah, I purposely didn't even talk about that, man, because following the ridiculous decision behind that fight, because I felt like Chocolatito won that fight. It's a shame. And then they do something like that, which kind of gives you the impression that there was an agenda there. Uh, that just do you have any thoughts on that, Reggie, before we close out, that you want to say anything? Because I really wasn't even going to bring the subject up.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. It's some more of this clown stuff from that clown Mauricio Suleiman. And it's the thing, him trying to protect these fighters from Rungvisai. And that's really the fact of the matter. And then you make this guy the franchise, but then you say, okay, it's okay for you to fight Chocolatito. We're going to keep Rungvisai up out of there. And that's really what it's about. And whoever wins that fight will go on to hold that distinction. And they're going to move around, and like the franchise can do. They can who they want to fight. They're going to maneuver around and go fight any one of these cats that are at the bottom. And hopefully it turns into a cherry pick go wrong or something. But I don't know. It's just Mauricio, man. He's a problem in this dang sport of boxing. He's a major problem. I don't know where he's gonna go, because then you still, who else is out there? You got Maloney and Franco in that division. When that one ended in some funny business stuff too. So do they go try to fight them and avoid fighting Rungvisai, who is the biggest threat to these dudes? A big time threat. And Mauricio pulls this crap on a fight that's controversial. So it's like, what is the standard of what's the standard of being a franchise champion? These dudes still got something to figure out. If you're gonna make them run it back, like every decision this dude makes is dumb. And I don't know if Mauricio on crack or what he's on, but he on something. But that's my thoughts on it. I think it's the most asinine decision to be made in something like this. But he definitely on that powder or something.
I agree with you, man. I can't even fix myself to come up with my own words on it, because I feel exactly how you feel on it. It's one of the most ridiculous situations. And, again, off of a fight that the other guy clearly won, to me. He clearly won. And when you take that one judge out of the equation, that with that total falsified card, who scored it like not one round for Chocolatito, I mean, get the hell out of here. What were you watching? And again, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Chocolatito was robbed. Rungvisai is being robbed because he put himself in a position to be there and to fight back and go for the championship again, and they're trying to avoid that. And it's definitely a situation where that they're going to exercise that thing, that even if he happened to get in the ring with Rungvisai for the next time, he's going to not lose his status as being a franchise. Estrada is not that good. He's good enough to compete at that level with those other guys, but a fading Chocolatito, which is another reason why I felt like he should have been awarded his victory, because he is a fading guy. He's on the downside, but he never threw a right hand that he couldn't miss with in that fight, and they took that fight from him, and he put on a tremendous performance for a guy at that weight, 33 years old. Again, I said that's like being 42 at that weight, because you have to cut weight to make that weight. You've taken a great deal of punishment through your career, through your sparring and all of that, and your reflexes start to go. You're outside of your prime, and Chocolatito put on a tremendous effort that night, and he should have been awarded that victory. That, to me, it's a disgrace. And then for them to throw that franchise at this guy after handing him the fight, basically, it smacks of just utter corruption in the sport. And Mauricio Suleiman, man, I can't wait till they get you out of the way. Hopefully you're not a lifer in there like your dad was. You know, get some people in there that'll really do better for the sport. But at this time, I have to say the WBC sucks. So yeah, we got Michael James 616 out there in the super chat. He says, "Great show, fellas. 100. Thank you for your donation there, Mike James 616." And Taylor Bell says the fix was in. Remember the scorecards? Absolutely. Silvestrio says WBC is completely corrupted to the core. And I guess Silvestrio also said maybe Ruiz Jr. further down the line for Povetkin. Yeah, maybe. So, dang, Reggie, we're already to the end of the show, the time. Why don't you go ahead and give us your final thoughts and everything, and let everybody know if you're going to call the fight tomorrow. And don't forget to drop your link in the chat.
Yes, indeed. I'm calling that fight. What is it? The fight in the morning or afternoon, whenever it comes on. The Dylan White, and also be doing that UFC fight event tomorrow as well. So I'm be calling that UFC fight event. But yeah, man, another good show, man. Y'all can catch me over at Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. Let me go ahead and pull this link up, and that's it, man. Another good show.
Yeah, and I got the DAZN card is on for 2 p.m. my time, so that's what, noon your time?
Yep.
That's the time that the card starts. I don't know exactly what time the Povetkin White fight will start, but that's at least the time that the card starts on DAZN. So that's right. We want to let everybody know that that card tomorrow night is also on the tomorrow afternoon is on the DAZN app. So just so you guys are aware of it, in case somebody is looking for the fight and want to see it. So, but yeah, so it is what it is, man. We've talked about this stuff. We got those heavyweights in there, because I know people were waiting for us to talk about heavyweights, since I had said that's what the show would be about. And we briefly started that last 45 minutes talking about these guys, the big boys of the sport. And that's kind of why the sport is slow moving, Reggie. As it's been said so many times, as so goes the heavyweights in boxing, so the rest of the sport follows. If these guys could ever clean up that mess at the top of the division and start fighting each other, I think the rest of boxing will follow suit, because the littler guys wouldn't want to be outshined by the big men. But as long as the big men are not putting on much, you know, people will kind of like just be very dismissive of that. So that's how I see that. But another great show. Thank you for coming in and sharing with us. And I was thinking, Reggie, I might be doing an afternoon stream tomorrow after the fight card, but I will do, if you want, I will do a post fight on it later in the evening if you want to do after your UFC call, unless you got something else planned after that.
No, we can do that.
Yeah, because I had an afternoon stream that I was going to do, just talking some boxing. I had put it on for the time of the same time that the card is going to start. So I'm going to delay that time and push it back until after the fights are done. But I'm not going to talk about the DAZN card on that stream tomorrow. I'm just doing a boxing show. That's all. And I'll save the conversation for the post fight later in the evening. So. But yeah, man, it's been a great show. We out here doing good things. We got people out here still saluting and congratulating me on the views. Bernard Burton says, great content, fellas, again. Congratulations, Stormy. Peace. Appreciate that, Bernard Burton. We got Picasso says, great commentary. Thank you for that, sir. Boxing and Barbecue says, great show, Stormy and Reggie. And congrats for reaching that 175K. Milestone, Stormy. Thank you so much, bro. Boxing and Barbecue. And we will be linking up in the near future. I'm going to get Boxing and Barbecue on that dine and dish with me one Saturday afternoon, Reggie. We're going to talk about some food because Boxing and Barbecue be over there cooking, man. Be grilling it up. So
that's the best way to cook.
Yes, sir. And Taylor Bell in the chat is saying, my last link was to Reggie's channel. Do yourself a favor, put the fight on mute and listen to Reggie call the fight. He is excellent at calling live fights. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Taylor Bell is out there and he's saying that everybody, if you want to watch this fight tomorrow, Reggie's going to be calling it on his channel. I think it's 2 p.m. Central my time. So wherever you are, according to what your time zone is, just know it's 2 p.m. Central. So it might be 3 p.m. Eastern and noon Pacific. So, but yeah, man, we're going to get on up out of here. It's been another great Friday night chop session. Stormy B, man, and Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. We do our thing over here. We'll catch you guys tomorrow evening after the fight for the post-fight show later on in the evening after the UFC fight card is done. So for my man, Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens, this is Stormy B, man, and we are up out of here. Peace to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your weekend.